Hey folks, Mel the Terrain Tutor back in the studio and back in the Back to Basics playlist with a bit of a Terrainiac tip for you. Now I'm in the process where I'm going through a project and I could really do with a wet rack. Okay, and normally I would just build one, put it in the corner, get cracked on and you would see nothing of it. And I thought, well, you know what? I might as well film it, share it. It's a simple technique, but they're really useful. Now I'm on this is version 2 of wet racks. For me, I already made one a few years ago, but it went a bit wrong. So this is the updated version. So what's a wet rack? Well, essentially a wet rack is a board that you can use for spraying, for priming, and essentially it's like a nail bed. Yeah, so it raises things off the board so things don't get stuck, it can drip off and that sort of stuff. So that's what a wet rack is. Now, to make my wet rack, I have a piece of the old EPVC. Yeah, this is Palite foamed PVC sheet. Yeah, it's really sturdy, but it's really light. Now, it's about the size of my cutting mat, and that's important because my last board was 2 foot by 4 foot. The reason it was 2 foot by 4 foot is back in the day, they used to say for a 6 by 4 you want roughly 1/3 of a table's worth of terrain to give a decent covering. So I came up with a 4 by 2 foot sheet, and if I could fill all that, that was one entire terrain set. The problem was, one, it was way too big. So once I got my terrain on it, it tended to bow a bit and that sort of stuff. It wasn't particularly, it was a bit like the old wobbly boards, you know what I mean? The other issue with it was because it was so large, actually working with it and moving it around and carrying it around the house and doing all that sort of stuff was just a nightmare. So I decided to go smaller with this one and go with something that is roughly the size of my cutting mat. Now obviously I can't do as much terrain on one that small, but I've got a few of these boards, so I'm going to do a few of them instead. Yeah, it's a little bit easier and they'll slide into my racking over there, so I can, as I've sprayed stuff, I can just put it up out of the way to dry. So next thing, you'll notice it's EPVC. My last board was MDF, and it started off as a good idea, but when I was spraying loads and loads of sealing on it, obviously it was dripping off, it was soaking into the MDF. After about a year, it bowed up enough that you could spin it on a table and spin it round. Now obviously, as it bowed up, any terrain that was put on it would be slanted, it would drain, you get pools of PVA on one side and not the other. Really, you want it to drain off flat, if you know what I mean. So, gone for EPVC this time, and it's time to put it together. So, give me 1 second, I'll just grab my bits. So, got my bits, time to crack on. Now, the first thing I need to do is draw a grid out onto my board, okay? What I want to do is draw a grid so I can pick where I'm going to put my nails that are going to hold the things up, you know, sort of pick them up off the board, if you know what I mean. Now I want roughly an inch gap between between each nail on the majority of it. Yeah, I'll explain the other bit in a second. Yeah, but at the same time, because I want to carry this around, yeah, my last board I pretty much did all the nails right pretty much up to the edge, which made it difficult to carry. So this one I'm going to pull in a couple of inches around the edge so it's easy to carry round. It won't actually affect its sort of functionality because just pieces will hang on the edges and stuff like that, so don't worry about that. But the first job, I need to draw a grid on here, yeah, roughly an inch square, 2-inch border all the way around it, and then once we've got that done, we can get cracked on and start gluing down some nails. Right, so, inchy. So that's my grid all drawn on, and it's looking rather nice, to be truthful. Not sure if I want to play a game of Blood Bowl or D&D or something like that on it. Something nice about a 1-inch grid on a green mat, isn't there? Anyway, I digress. We better get cracked on. So my grid's drawn out, and now I'm going to start putting my nails down. Now, for my nails, I've got these. Okay, now these are 20mm clout nails, and they're galvanized. Okay, so that's a clout nail, and basically it's one of those with the big flat heads. Big flat heads are really helpful because it's going to help us stand our nails up. When I was looking for nails, my previous one, I just hammered a load of nails through the board, to be truthful. Yeah, and it didn't work out that well because they're all at different heights and stuff like that. Yeah, with this one, I've gone with big flat-headed nails. Now, you can get felt tack nails, yeah, which are far stubbier but with a larger head. I've gone for 20mm because what I want to be able to do is, when I come down, I want to be able to get my fingers and actually get them underneath the pieces to lift them up so I don't have to touch the edges of the pieces. When you seal terrain, yeah, all the watered down PVA will flow down the terrain. It'll come down to the very edges and it hangs around the edges. So the edges are always the most unstuck when they're wet. They're always the most fiddly and they're always the last to dry. So being able to get your fingers underneath the piece and lift it off the board to work on or to move or to do something like that, if you're not sure if the edges are completely dry, is a real bonus. Okay, so 20mm is enough for me to get my hand underneath the board, so to speak. So they'll do nicely. Now, I've got to glue them down. Not going with PVA straight off, yeah. Reason being is, if I'm going to spray in this and there's going to be puddles of watered down PVA all over the board, if I use PVA, that watered down PVA will reactivate the PVA, it'll become unstuck, and when I pick my board up and go like that, all the nails will fall over and everything will slide off. So I need something that's water resistant. I could use super glue, no worries with that, bit expensive, but you know, it's doable. I could use hot glue. That would work, but that would have an issue where you don't get completely flat with hot glue. It depends on the temperature and the amount, which could mean my nails are uneven heights, which would mean rocky terrain, you know, seesaw effect. So I'm not using hot glue. So my glue of choice is a grip adhesive. This is No More Nails from the UK. Any decent water resistant grip adhesive will do. It needs to be water resistant, that's the important thing, because obviously it's going to get soaked. Now the logical thing you would say is, Mel, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and put a blob of that on every single one of those? No, nobody got time for that. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to squirt this out into a blob onto a bit of cardboard, and then I'm just going to dip my nail heads in and pop them on. Okay, so cracking on time. Well, that took a while, yeah, but strangely, oddly satisfying. Strange how jobs do that, isn't it? Yeah, obviously there's probably a quicker way of doing it, but you know, I enjoy doing it this way, so I don't care. Right, moving on. Now, as you can see, we've got that pretty much nailed down. Sorry about the pun, guys. Yeah, as you can see, nails all the way across on a 1-inch grid, but if you notice, I've doubled up around the edges. Okay, now this is a modification on my first board, because with my first board, what I found with small scatter pieces, things like hedges and the odd little, you know, small scatter piece, I was always struggling to balance them and that sort of stuff. So with this board, what I decided was I'd double up with the nails on the outside, yeah, allowing me to put bases on without them sort of, I can basically easily put bases on that, yeah, without them rocking or worrying. Now the other thing is I've gone around the outside, because what I found with my previous board was that if I put the little bases in the middle, I struggled to get to them to spray them and that sort of stuff. So if I put them by the outside, I can put my big stuff on the inside, yeah, and I should be able to easily work on it. I've done it all the way around, so as I'm working, if I need to, I can just spin the board round, yeah, and work on another side. So all my small pieces are on the outside. Now we are almost done. There's another step to do on this, which is I want to put a border around it. The reason being is, like, when I'm spraying and that sort of stuff, obviously you're going to get a lot of what's your watered down PVA run off it, drip off it, pool up. Now I want to be able to throw this on a desk and, you know, work on something else and then grab it and that sort of stuff. So what I don't want is all that watered PVA, yeah, spilling off the board and onto my desk. So I need to put a border around it. And for that, yeah, my original plan was I was going to use some 5mm sticks that I collected after bonfire night from all the rockets, but they're still in the shed at home. So I nipped to see my mate downstairs in one of the other studios, yeah, Nick at Stoke Laser, and he runs a laser cutting company, and he's great because he's got loads of offcuts, including these. Yeah, now these are, they look like 6mm, what you call it, plyboard, yeah. They're offcuts from some project he's been doing. But my basic plan now is I'm going to put these and I'm going to create a border all around the board with them. Okay? So, cracking on time. To glue them down, just use my grip adhesive again. Yeah, run a string, glue them all down, then maybe go in with a bit of hot glue and secure them up. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how we go. Right, cracking on time. So that's my border glued on, and to be perfectly honest, it was a much quicker and easier job. Yeah, results just the same. So much satisfaction. But here we have it with the border on. Now I don't have to worry about when the water PVA is dripping off this onto the sides. I don't have to worry about it running off and running over my desk, or as I'm carrying it round, running all over my hands and that sort of stuff. Now the astute and keen-eyed of you will notice it does not go all the way around. Yes, over here, if you look, yeah, I've left a gap. Okay, now let me quickly explain that. When I spray, sometimes I can go in a bit heavy, or if I'm going in with a pre-watered down spray, that could end up with quite a lot of liquids on here. What I don't want is it trapped and no way of pouring it out without really, you know, tilting it over. So what I've done is I've included this little gap. Okay, and all I'm going to do is day to day I'm just going to have a bit of blue tack wedged in there. Yeah, so it's got a border all the way around. If it gets too excessive, yeah, and I need to drain some off, I'll be able to take the blue tack off, then just gently just raise it to that corner, you know, literally just put a dice under there or something, and just let all that stuff flow off into a bucket or something like that. But I've got a way on the board of actually managing the spills, either keeping them contained or draining them off. Yeah, quite clever, eh? I'm quite chuffed with that myself. Yeah. Now, this has got to dry. The nails are pretty much dry. No More Nails dries really quickly anyway. But I want to give it a full overnight dry because there's one last thing I want to do with it. And I sort of decided this as I was doing it. You see, my gut feeling was that, right, it's going to get sprayed on, it's going to get primed on and all those sort of things. So over time, it will build up a layer of paint and PVA all over it, and it will seal it all up and all that sort of stuff. But I thought, well, I've used lots of individual sections. There could be gaps. What I don't want to do is do a spray seal and then have it running out all over the place. So my battle plan is, I've got a can of this. It's been rattling around in the studio for quite a while. This is a polyurethane varnish. Okay, now polyurethane is essentially waterproof. Yeah, so once this is all dried, if I give it a good coat of this, it will go all over it, it'll seal it completely, so I won't have to worry about any of my leaks or anything like that running off the edge. I mean, it's still going to get covered in paint and PVA and all that sort of stuff, but it won't leak, you know what I mean? So, job in the morning is to give it a spray with that. But to show you the difference this sort of makes to me working is I can throw all these, yeah, on here, yeah, easy as that. I can then pick them up, I can carry them around, I can take them for spraying outside, I can bring them in. I don't need to touch them at all while they're drying. Same with sealing. Yeah, I can spray them, seal them, turn it around, easily work at it. Perfect. Much better than my old, what's got 2 foot by 4 foot board. I'm actually quite impressed with this myself. It's good when you have days like this, isn't it? Yeah? It's also strange, isn't it, how the simplest things can bring you pleasure. Well, with that, I think I better wrap this up because there is no more on this I can actually show you. Yeah, I'm spraying it tomorrow. It's just a spray coat of varnish, guys, yeah. I'm probably going to go in a bit heavy, to be perfectly honest, and give it a damn good coat. But if things run and that sort of stuff, I don't care. It's a wet board. So, there you have it. That is making a wet rack for your terrain. As I said, it's a great tool. Yeah, if you're making lots of terrain and you've got to prime, you've got to seal, you don't want to make mess, all that sort of stuff. As I said, I've got a couple more of these boards, so I'm going to crack on and make a few more of these. Yeah, and I'm good. So guys, I'll wrap this up. Now, I'm quite interested. What sort of techniques do you use, yeah, to sort of manage your spray priming and all this sort of stuff? Basically, I'm after ideas that I can nick to modify this for version 3. if we ever get to version 3. Hopefully version 2 will be enough. Yeah, but if you do have any nicks or how you do it, throw them in the comments, guys. Let me know how you do it, yeah, because I'm quite curious. Yeah. Beyond that, as always, you got any questions, get them down below. If you like it, share it if you know anyone will find it useful. And as always, guys, if you do appreciate these videos and they are helping you with your hobby, remember, it only takes $1 a month down below via PayPal or via Patreon to keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. And me in here with this big smiley face helping you with your hobby. So guys, if you'd really like to see more videos, you want me to share everything I know, yeah, links down below in the description. In the meantime, you'll be seeing my drying rack coming up in other videos very soon. All the best, yeah? Ta-da!